Hello again, this is Andrew, and now I'm going to discuss with you the signal looping. And this signal looping is all about how to understand NPN, PNP, and the PLC common. And this is the continuation, or maybe it's better if I will call this lesson the deeper understanding about NPN, PNP, and PLC common. Okay, let's start. For the basic signal looping, let's say we have a power supply and we have a load. And when we close this switch, the current will flow. The load is energized. The current loop is now complete. And the main thing that we need to remember here, the current from the source must return to the source after it passes through the load. Okay, that's the only thing that we need to remember here in signal looping. To make the load works, that condition must be satisfied. Okay, let's try it to an NPN connection. Okay, this is the flow of current for the sensor. It is used to energize the sensor. Next, sensor is activated. Now, the current will flow from positive terminal. And as you can see, it flowed to the load. The load is now energized. And the current will go to the output of the sensor. And now, the sensor will use its negative terminal to bring the current back to the power supply. And now the loop is complete. And that's the explanation on how this circuit works. Now let's try it to PNP connection. Now that's the current used to energize the sensor. Now the sensor is activated. It will pull out a voltage from our power supply, and it will use that voltage to send signal to our load, and the load is now energized. Then the current will go back to the power supply. Okay, that's how it works. And now for a non-polarized load that still work even if the polarity is reversed. There are some loads that still work even if you reverse the polarity or the termination of our power supply. Okay, now let's try to reverse the polarity. This type of load are non-polarized. And now, how to trigger a PLC NPN input. First thing, we can assume that these loads here are non-polarized. For NPN configuration, the first switch here is closed, and that will allow the current to flow from our power supply, from our common terminal. Okay, and the second switch is now closed, and it will allow the current to flow to X1. The third switch is closed, and that will allow the current to flow at X2. The switch 4 is closed, that will allow the current to flow at X3. Okay, that's how it works. Now let's try it in PNP. The first switch is closed, that will allow the current to flow on positive. And it will go to X0. X0 is now energized. And it will go back to negative. Switch 2 is now closed. That will allow the current to pass through X1. Switch 3 is closed. It will allow the current to flow at X2. Switch 4 is now closed. It will allow the current to flow here at X3. and that's how it works. For advanced signal looping, let's try to PLC NPN input together with the sensor. Okay, this current is for energizing the sensor and the PLC. And let's say that sensor is activated. The current will flow from positive. It will enter the common and it will trigger X0. And now the sensor will return the current to the power source. Okay, the loop is now complete. As you can see, the current from the source returned to the source. Now let's try it to PNP input. These are the current to energize the PLC and the sensor. And now let's say the sensor is activated. It will draw a positive signal from our power supply and it will use it to send signal to our PLC, and positive signal will enter X0. Then it will go back to the negative using our common. The loop is now complete. The current from the source returned to the source. How to trigger a PLC NPN output. If Y0 is activated, the relay at Y0 will close. And because our common is connected to negative, Y0 will release a negative signal. How to trigger a PLC PNP output. First, you need to connect the common to a positive terminal, and when Y0 is activated, Y0 will release a positive signal because the common is connected to positive. PLC NPN relay output. Okay, this current is used to energize our PLC. Y0 is activated. This will allow the current flow from our positive and our load will be energized. And Y0 will allow the current to go back to our power supply using the common of our PLC. And the loop is now complete. The current from our supply returns to our supply. For PLC relay output, this current is used to power up our PLC. Y0 is now activated, and that will allow to draw a current from our positive terminal, and that current will flow to the common of PLC, and it will come out to our Y0 and send signal to our load. The load is now energized, and the current will return from our load to our power supply, and the current from power supply returns to our power supply. The loop is now complete, and that's how it works. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please click the notification bell to notify you for new video, and please like and share my videos. Please like my Facebook page, and please click see first on Facebook to notify you for new posts. Thank you.